And Wally, we are live.
All right. So first of all, I'm going to start this by apologizing. I'm sorry to disappoint everyone. I am not Dave Savage. So he got pulled out. He'll be here in a few minutes, but super excited about today. I'm really excited about today because what what a mentor of mine told me once that I was a unicorn. And it frustrated me really much a lot to hear because there's not much that I feel like I do really special. And what I mean by that is that there is so many, if anybody can follow a system or learn a system, they can be as successful, if not more successful than me. There's nothing that I do that's really special. All I've learned is a sequence of steps, which is a system that you learn to follow. So what's super cool about today's guest, Bryan Schmidt, is he's actually proven that no one is a unicorn. Every loan officer can build this out. Every loan officer can build the 6-lane highway. Every loan officer can turn their database into a data bank. Every loan officer can thrive in 2024 instead of just try to survive. So, Bryan, I guess welcome to Mortgage Coach Show.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I've only been
Yeah.
using it for a couple decades, but I'm finally here.
Yeah. Well, I guess start us off with that journey. So when you kind of go with so when did Mortgage Coach really kind of jump off for you, and when did you start getting into it, and how have you kind of been using it?
I think the year, if I'm not mistaken, was 2004, and maybe it was 2005. And I'd come across it somehow, and I thought, wow, that's a heck of a lot better than my spreadsheet. And I just reached out and signed up for it, and I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And I started using it with the majority of my clients from that point forward. You know, it's just a big differentiator for me.
Yeah, I learned about it. It was almost 20 years ago. And back when it used to be like a floppy disk
Yeah, you
that you
install
upload.
it.
Uh-huh. And then
Yes.
you'd have to print it out. And then I'd print it out, take it to closing or take it to loan applications or any of that fun stuff. And I remember when Dave really launched it digitally, and I remember it was like 2013, 2014. I just absolutely just made it a standard. It was a non-negotiable that every single borrower got Mortgage Coach. Every single borrower got input into Mortgage Coach. We updated everything post closing, and we just got super lucky. I mean, when we started doing mortgage efficiency checkups in 2019 and really going deep in the post-closing process, you realize like, holy smokes, like thank God that you've got Mortgage Coach and you created it, because now you've got the amortization schedule, you know where the taxes are, all the data is in there. So
Uh, it's a killer product. I tell people all the time, if you're not using that, you're doing it wrong.
yeah, awesome. Well, the goal of kind of today is like, first, why don't you tell everybody kind of your history again? I think you're a special guy, but you're not a unicorn. Some might think I'm a special guy, but I am not a unicorn. The biggest things that it really frustrates me when I go to a seminar and I see somebody on stage and then I walk away feeling inferior. I walk away feeling less than. So
Mhm.
what my goal today is for everyone to see you and be like, wow, that person, Bryan, believed in himself. He implemented the system, and here are the results that everyone can get. So kind of walk us through a little bit of that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a little background on myself. So, I've been doing mortgages and real estate almost 25 years now. So, I did commercial real estate for a few years, absolutely despised that business. Moved on to residential real estate, really enjoyed that business, and then quickly moved on to doing residential mortgages. So, I'm pretty technical. I like the details. I'm not like a high C in the disc profile, but I like problem solving. And I do a lot of self-employed people and unscrewing up what a lot of other people possibly have screwed up. So that's kind of where I gravitate with a lot of the clients I work with. But with Mortgage Coach, to your point, I don't use it with every single client, but the majority of them I do, and it's a killer tool. I've been able to meet lots and lots of financial advisors, introduce myself to new realtors, estate planning attorneys, family law, divorce, all of those people I share those total cost analyses with, and they love the detail. So I use that as a gateway to get a meeting or to get a follow-up meeting with them after I first meet with them. So
100%. And I think what I've seen you do really special is you you took you took what the 6 line highway taught. And what was super cool about it is you started implementing in your business, but you started putting your twist on it. And as you're meeting with these financial advisors, I remember talking to you, and it was like the morning of, and you had a meeting that afternoon with like 3 financial advisors. Like, what do I tell them? Like, where's your mortgage coach and where's your home bot?
Exactly. So I like, yeah, I'm not special at all. I overthink things to death. I'll overanalyze things. I just have that. I'm afflicted with the same disease I believe you are, which is the work ethic disease.
Yeah.
I'll just do the work. I may screw it up, not do it well, or not be very efficient at it, but I'll just continue to do it, and it gets results. I could probably get a lot better results if I'd listen more and maybe take better notes. But I think the key is making phone calls to people and being in front of people that you know typically aren't going to be. So when we first met last fall, November, December, I remember after I got the first phone call with you, I'm like, I don't deal with a lot of people with financial advisors. Who should I call? So I called my top 10 past clients from a net worth perspective, and I got introductions to 3 people. And one of those 3 turned out to be a really great introduction, which turned into basically the reason we're talking today.
Yeah.
So
So keep going down that journey. I mean, I think that's something that people really need to understand, that literally just a short few months ago, you had no system to follow with your past clients, like the client concierge system. Now you do. You had
mhm,
no relationships with wealth partners, with CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys. Now you do. You had
mhm,
no loans in the pipeline from financial advisors and no commissions on your W-2 from them. Now you do. Like,
yep.
help them understand, like, how did this evolve in just a short few months for you?
So I didn't have a system to follow up with my past clients that kept me engaged. It was super rote. Just call every Thursday or Wednesday, call once a week, and it was always a constant like I have to come up with a new topic and feel like I'm adding value to this person's life. Or now with your approach, I have a systematic reason to follow up, and it just becomes automatic at that point. Um, so for me, with the financial advisor piece, I've always liked that. I've been attracted to that market. I just didn't know how to approach them. And after getting the introductions to people from past clients, it was interesting. I got 3 introductions, and then I got a fourth person introduced to me as well. That fourth one really kind of catapulted everything. We met and we're talking, and he's like, I really want to start like a networking group. What do you think about that? And I said, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. And he said, why? And I said, well, unless you value your time, it's going to be a lot of time investment. And I don't know about the return on investment. What if you were to make more phone calls? We just started talking about prospecting, and he liked what I had to say. And literally 3 days later, maybe 4 days later, he introduced me to one of his clients. And then that turned into a $1.5 million deal. Um, Additionally, there were the first 3 referral partners that I met with. The one of the 3 financial advisors has $120 million under management with 4 junior advisors. That I don't know where it's going to go long term, but it just got me engaged with the conversation. But with the leverage of this whole thing is really what I love about it. I don't like. I used to think I had to have 50 or 100 referral partners to generate enough leads to close 20 units. And now with what happened with that one introduction to that one client, I was able to direct traffic to literally five other people, which turned into over $3 million at this point of additional deals either under contract or closed from the one referral from the one financial advisor, which is just unbelievable as far as I'm concerned. It's killer.
I mean, I'm like, it literally gives me goosebumps every time I hear your story. Just because, like, I don't know if this is going to be like the right thing to say or not, but I'm so dumb enough to believe that I can do it, that I can actually do it, right? And I think
Yeah.
it's like you see somebody super successful, and I really hope people can see your success and be like, well, not necessarily, hey, if that guy can do it, I can do it. But hey, like, if Wally can do it, Brian can do it, John can do it, Sally can do it, Ben can do it,
Yes.
everyone can do it. It's just a sequence of steps, which is a system that, if you understand the sequence of steps and the importance of the order of the sequence of steps, it's super easy to bring the system to life.
Yeah, and I think the key is the referral that you, and I know you talk about this a lot, is the referral to the, or I should say the third party referral to the referral partner. So instead of cold calling, having that introduction, the warm introduction to that person makes a huge difference. So I've taken that to another level. I have an insurance agent that I work with. I just said, who do you know that I need to know that I don't? And he introduced me to a real estate investor who owns 450 properties here in my market. And I literally have on Saturday, I got 3 referrals from her on 3 properties that she's having issues with getting cash out of, that she's got almost $700,000 invested in, that she's got trapped. So now there's a whole new avenue, and it's all
Wow.
based off of just starting this back in December. So it's awesome, man. But I'm just calling to ask for like how I can help. I'm not asking for
Yeah.
like, who do you know that I can do a mortgage for? It's not like commission breath. It's very simple. It's like, look, who do you know that I should know that I don't, that you think I would be a good fit with? And what kind of problems do you see your business having that I might be able to solve? Those are like the 2 biggest questions that I've asked.
Yeah. And as we go through this, and I want to be able to kind of dig more in the process because I really want people to understand like how does the conversation go? What do you say? When do you say it? How do you say it? But I'm going to put you on the spot, and this is not a pre asked question that we prepared for. Have you read 24/7 Mindset, the book?
Yes, sir, I have.
You have? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it away for free. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody listening, Dave Savage was very generous to write the forward in the book 24/7 Mindset. And if you grab your phone real quick, so that I can put Brian back on the screen, grab your phone. There's a QR code right there. Scan that QR code, and then you can download the 24/7 Mindset, the book. It's a breakdown of my last 10 years. It's a breakdown from, 10 years ago, 12, actually 11 years ago, 2013, how I went from, I think it was like $36 million in loans, working 80-hour work weeks, to how did I build a team that got me to $200 million in loans in a year and only working 24 hours a week, 7 months a year. And I got paid from the business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So how do you build a business? And it's not, I mean, it could be 24, it could be 22, it could be 99, whatever your hours you want to work or days you want to work. But the biggest thing, the whole point of the book is to help you look at things differently. How do you build a business in mortgage that becomes a residual income business versus an earned income business? And the goal of this is how, if I can help you learn how to build a residual income business for mortgage, and then that means you can do more things that you find fun. You can spend more time with your family. You can spend more time vacationing. You can spend more time living life. And the ability of being able to enjoy what we've built is what I want to give away. So 24/7 Mindset, the book, the ebook is right there. Scan that QR code, and then we'll jump back to Brian. All right, Brian, would you if Dave Savage was on, I would tell you to say your favorite part of the book was a forward of his, right?
Absolutely.
Good. Good.
Exactly.
All right. What were some of your thoughts what were some of your thoughts about the book, or any takeaways from there as you read
Well,
it?
so yeah, so for me, like it was your journey is similar to mine. I'm not doing the production volume you are, but I built a team that I really didn't enjoy working with in a business that I didn't really care for. So a few years back, I said, I think I'm going to switch gears and try to focus this and be more efficient and work with people that I enjoy working with. And that was kind of the start of me changing what my business looked like for the previous 10 years. And I was doing 30 to $50 million a year. And I had a small production team and we had a really good quality business. I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't like every morning I didn't wake up and say, I'm going to hurry up and go to the office and work with these people. I just didn't enjoy it. So I wanted to consciously switch that up. And when I came across the book, I said, all right, I'm going to order that, read it. And I was like, man, you very parallel story, different numbers, but parallel outcomes. And I'm like, wow, all right, I'm not alone in this. I want to have residual income. I want to be able to, reinvest my mortgage income into other investments that are going to create recurring income, not just a one time and I'm getting hammered on taxes. So it was like a bigger philosophy than just doing loans. It was having a full blown system that's going to support what it is that I wanted to do, which is what you described, what you did in the book.
Yeah, it's amazing how much or how quickly this business can suck you up and spit you out.
It
And it
was terrible. It was horrible. And I mean, I was making a lot of money. I just was not
yeah.
happy.
Yeah, it's I remember candidly in like 2020, even 2020, like when it was just such a flood, it was such a flood of business that came in to all of us. And I remember coming out of my office like at 9 p.m. one night and going to my wife and saying, I never want to see another mortgage again. I want to throw my phone out the window because it would not stop ringing.
Yes, I can relate. Yeah, and then to add insult to injury, I had a team that I'm not the best leader of people, and I can always improve that skill, of course. But man, it was just not an enjoyable time for me. And the more I made my sales activities happen, the more referrals we created, and it just didn't stop. So I had to literally hit pause on everything to take a step back.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just like the efficiency concept. Like
Mm.
one great referral partner can lead to multiple opportunities for everybody involved. So if I surround myself with really high quality people, now all of a sudden I can support them and they'll automatically support me, which
Yeah.
the realtor from that initial referral from the fourth advisor that I talked to, the realtor partner that I referred that buyer to. So I handed him a $1.5 million client, right? Since then, we have put together almost 1.6 million of additional deals, either in process or pre-approved and shopping or closed. Like,
So hold on. $3.1 million in in business generated for a partner.
yeah, yeah, it's
Holy
ridiculous.
smokes.
And I'm
That's
advertising that. I'm making sure he's clear on
oh yeah.
that. He
Yeah.
gets it. I'm not shy about that, but I ask him, like, just like you point out, I'm like, look, man, if I were to do this, would I become your number one referral partner? I remember we're sitting at the Starbucks back in, I think it was in December, maybe early January, whatever it was, when I introduced him to the client. And the client's awesome. Like, he's just an awesome dude. And I told the realtor, I'm like, look, man, what percentage of your business is referred? And he couldn't answer. And I said, okay, well, that's not abnormal. Let's try to figure it out. And it turns out that it was probably 15 or 20%.
Yeah.
And when we looked at where those referrals came from, they were all past clients. So now I had the opportunity to start like sharing some knowledge with him, not just talk about mortgages, which is really what I enjoy doing. I don't want to coach them. I want to share with them, right?
Yeah.
And he loved that. He's like, man, nobody's ever shared this with me before. Man, if you refer somebody like that to me, or if you refer one client a month to me, you would 100% be my largest referral partner. Okay, cool. Well, then let's just talk about that. What if I referred you 12 deals this year and you referred me 12 deals this year? What would that look like? And he's like, I would hit my income goal. Well, then do you need to go talk to 10 other lenders? No. Do you need to talk to all these other people? No. Okay, well, let's focus and let's figure out how to make this happen. And he's dialed in. He gets it. He literally said at the closing for the first client, without me prompting, client, what Brian's doing isn't normal. This isn't normal for a lender, just so we're on the same page. This was awesome. It was like huge endorsement. I mean,
Yeah.
just it doesn't get any better than that. But again, it just goes to show when you serve other people and you solve problems for them, it will come back to you.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant. And what I love so much about that is like the conviction in your voice. Like you have worth, you have value. We
Mm-hmm.
all have value and we're all important. We just got to be able to frame ourselves and articulate the of of where we bring value. And if you can help generate referrals for your CPAs, your financial advisors, your family will attorneys, your insurance agents, generate referrals for your realtors, if when you understand you can generate business, it's the ability to become a multiplier instead of an addition loan officer.
Yeah,
And with that,
that's huge. That right there, I think, for me was one of the biggest things that I've come across conceptually. It was like, I'm not doing this, like, I'm not needing to generate a referral so I can close one deal. I'm going to leverage this, and now all of a sudden that one referral can turn into two or three pretty easily, quite honestly. But it's all in having the right people to be able to refer to, at least from my experience so far.
100%. So what I want everybody to kind of elaborate on, okay, grab your phones again. I'm going to give a lot of great giveaways because I really, the best compliment you can ever give to me is implementation. I do not want you, I want every loan officer that watches this Mortgage Coach show to see like, okay, there's a way to really thrive in 2024. All right. So the question that's on the screen right now, grab your phones and scan that QR code, please. And you'll see, I said, are you an addition or a multiplier loan officer? All right. Brian, what is an addition loan officer that you've learned and what is a multiplier loan officer?
Well, the addition loan officer is one-to-one. You know, if you refer me one client, I'm going to close the one client, and there's no leverage. There's no like exponential growth, where the multiplier is truly going to help you grow your business exponentially by leveraging the relationships that you and or the lender has. I mean, you or the referral partner has. You need to think bigger than just I'm here to conduct the transaction. If you can get your mind into the space of I need these 6 other people or these 10 other service providers to be introduced to this client so I can help this client exponentially, it's going to generate infinitely more business for you and everyone else.
And talk about like retention, talk about relationship that you're able to rapport to beat with them. Talking about, if
Dude.
some other lender that remotely tries to beat you by an eighth of a point, they are not leaving you.
No, I had interesting. I had a realtor ask me, he's like, well, what kind of rate can you provide? I said, well, the reality of the situation is anybody can get whatever rate they want, depending on what it costs that person to get that rate. Why are you asking about rates? And like, well, my client wants to, they want to have the lowest payment. I said, okay, well, you understand that like the lowest rate doesn't necessarily mean the lowest payment. Do you understand that? And they said, no. I said, okay, well, let's meet over a cup of coffee and I'll share some information with you and let me help you understand how this works. So I got a real
Great,
estate appointment from that
great.
conversation straight up.
No, it's a great mortgage coach plug right there because
But
I'm sure you
what I
said,
use,
yeah.
that's
And that's what I
exactly.
think Dave would really appreciate that. And so if you grabbed your phone, you grabbed your QR code, and so there's 100 different questions that I built out here for each loan officer, how to grow their mortgage business. 100, I mean, it took me months and months and months to build this out, and it's completely free to you. So grab your phone, grab the QR code, scan that for yourself, and then we'll also drop it into the Zoe, you drop that in the chat, please. Okay. So as we go through here, like when you heard that, and what I want everyone to kind of understand is the multiplier loan officer is the loan officer of the future. The addition loan officer is the loan officer of the past. And what I mean by that is artificial intelligence is coming. You've got a lot of top big producers like Brian out there in the marketplace that are starting to really be able to learn how to generate referrals and generate business in the door. So, Brian, like as you've done that, did you become a multiplier loan officer because the opportunity, or was it fear of like, competition, or like what was your motivation there?
Honestly, I don't fear competition. I think it was more than anything is I really enjoy the referral generation, the referral partner engagement, the advice giving to the client. I don't really enjoy doing the mortgage work, right? So for me, I wanted to take this concept and generate more business than I could personally handle so I can build a production team that's going to have the expertise to back me up. So it was more about honestly increasing the quality of my life more than anything.
Yeah, I think when you realize like you can have a quality of life and a quality of business is it's truly a blessing to be able to build a mortgage business that way for sure. So, as you've gone down this road with the 6-lane highway journey, and as you've built this out, have other people in your office noticed? Have your co-loan officers, your branch manager, your regional, your company, like how's it kind of spread?
Yeah, so my a couple other branch managers I'm friends with here internally at our company, and we're like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And our CEO and I spoke last week, actually 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. He's like, "Hey, what's going on over there?" So they take notice when they start to see, more credit pulls, more locks, whatnot. So that's first. I have one loan officer. I call him a junior loan officer in my office who's brand new to the business, right?
Yeah.
And and it's interesting as I've been kind of coaching him through this, he's primarily focused on realtors because he doesn't really know how to talk about financial pictures like what we're talking about yet. but it's fun. I said, all right, so I want you to go out and I want you to go find 10 financial advisors from the people that you know. And right now he's working on that, and he's going to have probably 4 or 5 introductions from the people that he already knows, and then he's just going to go to networking events to find 5 others and just randomly,
Mhm.
identify people and just start filtering. And it's another approach. One of the things that he said to me, which is why we started doing this, was like, man, I'm kind of running out of realtors. I don't know what else I can say to these people. What should
Yeah.
I do? I'm like, well, there's a whole bunch of opportunities if you look at it from this perspective. And he's like,
Yeah.
well, what do I do? And that's where he's at now. So I'm helping him with that.
Well, I think what's brilliant about it, have you ever read the book Blue Ocean?
Yeah. Blue Ocean
Yeah.
strategy. Yep.
Yeah, Blue Ocean Strategies, an amazing, amazing book. And if you've not read the book, let's gonna give it like an overview of it in my eyes. So they give like there's red oceans and there's blue oceans. Red oceans right now are realtors. Every starving loan officer, every big producer loan officer, every whatever loan officer out there is going after the same realtors. They're all whining and dining them. They're all paying for Zillow leads or whatever the case is, to try to get their business. There's a whole blue ocean here with no blood in it whatsoever that are CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agents. That's what the 6 lane highway is built on. And when you understand the 6 lane highway process and the post closing process, which is called the client concierge system, when you understand those two components, you're absolutely able to act to be in the blue ocean. And did you kind of have that same feeling, Brian, when either you read the book or started understanding about the client concierge system or the 6 lane highway?
100%. As soon as, and it's funny. So I've had the CMPS designation. So Gibran Nicholas and I have talked about this before. And I'm like, man, I just don't know how to attack that segment. I'm so focused on realtors, and it's just like such a like grind. I'm like, I gotta switch gears. I want to find something else out. And then when I came across your book, and then I jumped on that first webinar back in December. That was immediately what I thought of. I'm like, I mean, I can talk like the financial advisor. I'm managing the liability side of the balance sheet. Like I went to
Yeah.
school for accounting. Like this makes sense. I can do this at a higher level than how I'm being valued by the current referral partners. I'm not just a mechanism that facilitates a transaction. I'm now looked at as a partner who's like, holy cow, this guy's smart. He can figure stuff out that I've never even heard of or thought of before. He can really help me and my clients. And that's what attracted me to it.
Yeah. And I think but when you start to understand the 6 lane highway, you really start kind of figuring out, what is the foundation of it. And to me, it's comes down to your database. It comes down your how to turn your database into a data bank. And another giveaway here. So grab your phones again. Here's another QR code that walks you through how to turn your database into a data bank. It's like a 45-minute me teaching the whole process post closing. And how to turn your database into a data bank is the mindset, the 24/7 mindset of how to build a post closing process that helps generate referrals post closing. Generate referrals for you as a loan officer, generate referrals for your CPAs, your financial advisors, your family will attorneys, your insurance agents, your realtor partners. And that's where you become truly a multiplier loan officer. So grab your phones, scan that QR code, and Zoe, drop that into the chat also. And then from there, you guys have that link. There's a 45-minute recording, and then you can see that for yourselves. But I guess Brian, kind of walk us through that and how did the first time when you heard about the post closing process, the 7-day call, the 30-day call, the 6-month call, the annual mortgage view, and the mortgage efficiency checkup, what was like? Were you overwhelmed? Were you excited? Did you not think it was a big deal? Kind of walk us through your mindset.
No, I love the concept. I mean, especially with using MortgageCoach. I mean, it's a pretty simple thing. Once you create the total cost analysis, it's already there. And if you update it once the deal is closed, well, then it's a very simple conversation in a year. The key is either A, not scheduling time to do it, or B, just not executing at all. So for me, that's the number one issue is the follow through on it. So now what I've done is in my CRM, every time that a deal closes, then those 4 items pop up as tasks with reminders so that I'm not forgetting about it. And I walk in the door and I know I'm going to have these 5 people that I have to call today because it's it's a week before their annual review or whatever that looks like. It just gives you a reason to stay engaged with people where you're not asking for something to help me. I'm asking to help them and sharing knowledge with them where they automatically then, like most people, when I'm talking to them, like, hey, how can I help you, Brian? Like the consumer's
Yeah.
asking me that. It's not me trying to get a referral. It's like, hey, let me add so much value to your world that you're gonna want to help me back. And I made a big conscious decision of I had almost 85% of my clients were referred from realtors prior to like 2022, even through COVID. And I'm like, I don't want the chaos. So I
Yeah.
want that down to 50% at most. And right now,
Yeah.
our past client or our current client referrals are somewhere hovering between 40 and 50% a month, with non-realtor business partners being about 35, 40%. So I've drastically
Awesome.
flipped and really, really focused. I don't have enough realtors, according to a lot of people, but I have really high quality relationships with the 10 that I have.
Yeah, and I think what's brilliant about that and how you've built that out is you aim small, miss small. I think so many people think like you need to have 50 financial advisors, 30 CPAs. And I tell everybody just start with one CPA, start with one financial advisor, start with one family will attorney, start with one insurance agent, and go a mile deep and inch wide with each one of those, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to refer the wrong person to the wrong one. You're going to fumble your words, and the ability to be able to become your own guinea pig and learn from that. It's just, you bring so much massive value once you're able to master it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was funny. We had, I forget what call it was that we talked about accountants
Yeah.
maybe a month, maybe it was February, something like that.
Yeah.
And you were talking, you're like, so you've got, you know, CPAs that do tax returns. They're basically
Mhm.
glorified tax preparers. And then you've got CPAs that actually understand the, tax laws, and they're more of strategists, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, duh, my accountant is a strategist. He's not for everybody. So I called him after that webinar. I'm like, Bob, hey, I'm sorry. And he's like, for what? I'm like, I keep referring you to the wrong people. And he goes, what do you mean? And I told him, he goes, oh, you don't worry about that. My partner, he does the tax preparation for the self-employed or the non-complicated
Good.
files. Don't worry about that. I'm like, okay,
Good.
I was wondering about that because you've never said anything to me. But what's interesting is I have this conversation and call and apologize to him. And he's like, oh, by the way, I have a client that needs your help.
Brilliant.
So
It's
it's simple.
Yeah, it's brilliant from the fact of the ability to be able to it's brilliant from the fact of you've got the ability to be brave enough to implement. And that's really the biggest hope that I have for everyone on this call and everyone listening. Is Brian and I are not the smartest guys, and Brian, if you feel you are the smartest guy, I'll let you say that. But
No.
you've got to be brave enough to be able to implement. And I'll be first one to tell you, I've been fired by wealth partners. I got fired once by a financial advisor because I was not doing what Brian just said to do. And I remember his name is Austin. He's Northwestern Mutual, and he took me to lunch one day. I mean, he was nice. He took me to Del Frisco's, took me to lunch one day, and he goes, "Hey, this is our last lunch and our last meeting together." I'm like, "Why? What's wrong?" And he goes, "We're parting ways because you're not listening to me." And I said, "Dude, I'm so sorry. Like, help me improve. What? How can I improve?" And his response is, "Wally, I'm a wealth manager. So I get that I'm with Northwestern Mutual, but I am a wealth manager, not an insurance salesman. And you keep referring me to these clients that might make $400,000 a year, want to buy $1 million insurance policy, and it's clogging up my system. I've repeatedly told you, Wally, I only work with high net worth clients." And I said, one, I'm really sorry. Two, thank you so much for for being transparent with me. But what is a high net worth individual to you? And he goes, they've got to have $1 million or more assets under management that I can invest. And I said, man, to be bluntly honest with you, I don't have many of those in my database. I don't have many of those clients. Me and my average loan amount is like 400,000. So your probably average income is like 220, 230. And he goes, can you find me one a month? And he planted that seed, and he goes, if you refer me $1 million net worth client a month, or candidly, even $1 million net worth client a quarter, Wally, you become my highest #1 biggest referral partner.
Love
And
it.
that like sparked something that those mistakes that I made and leading up to that sparked, okay, one, I need to be a better listener and actually need to pay attention. Two, I need to be able to understand what are they looking for. And then three, all I have to do to win is to go find what they're looking for.
Mhm.
And then, Austin, I ended up referring him a client like a month and a half later that had like a $2.5 million net worth. And he comes back and he ends up referring me not a realtor, but a builder. A
Mm.
builder, one of his clients had trouble with their lender, and that builder does like 350 closings on a yearly basis. Like, here's a wealth advisor that referred me a builder. Why? Because I put myself out there in the universe of having a conversation with him, of
Yeah.
walking through what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
what the partnerships out there look like. So, you have a similar story to that, or what's your journey been like there?
So yeah, so I'll share something that just happened actually over the last 2 weeks. So I talked to one advisor and I asked him, I'm like, so what kind of clients do you like to work with? And he goes, I work with a lot of self-employed people with their employees. I set up their 401ks and their retirement plans. I'm like, all right, so if I made more introductions to somebody with 10 or 20 employees, that would be a good intro. He's like, no, like two, three, 400 people. I'm like, okay, so you target businesses to go in and build the retirement plan for the employees and then you manage those assets. He's like, yeah, okay, so I'll start looking for people. Well, I get a phone call from a past client. He's like, hey, I've got an employee that has this loan and it's crazy expensive. You got to come by the office and help us understand what the heck's going on with the mortgage. So I went by his office last Tuesday and we sit down and he's the CEO. He's got about 400 employees. And he goes, check out the mortgage. And as you talked about, her tax bill went up. We're in Chicago. Taxes are crazy here. So her taxes literally like went up $3,000 a year, and they were obviously escrowing for the shortage, right? So I sat there. I told her, I'm like, look, it doesn't make any sense at all for you to refinance. It's an escrow shortage. If it were me and you and I were you, pay the escrow shortage out of your checking or your savings and be done. Otherwise, carry it through your monthly payment and be done. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's great. Thanks for the explanation. So we're sitting there talking. And we go to lunch afterwards, and they go, well, how can we help you, Brian? I'm like, well, you guys have 400 employees, right? Who manages your retirement accounts? And I'm at lunch with the CEO and his corporate attorney. And they're like, well, we're actually thinking about a new person. I'm like, well, why is that? Well, we don't really get any service. They don't really take care of anybody. We have a lot of independent contractors, so they don't really help them. Like, well, what if we were to put together some kind of, I think I have somebody that you should talk to, but what if we did some kind of like employee assistance program or maybe some employee benefit where I can come in and help share some information about this. And maybe that financial advisor comes in and does the same thing. Would that be helpful for you? And they're like, yeah, I think that would be good. So like, again, staying in touch with the past clients turns into the opportunity to talk about the refinance that doesn't make any sense to do. And then that turns into a conversation about possibly going in once a quarter, once a month to talk to all 400 employees about how we can help them financially. And then obviously this makes an introduction back to the advisor. So like that's how I'm thinking of things. I don't need to go out and talk to 500 people. I'm just trying to connect the dots and solve the problem, right?
Well, it's
So
just I think when you realize out there that to be a multiplier loan officer, you've got to learn to be a sniper.
yeah,
And if you're an addition loan officer, you're a shotgun.
yeah,
So, one thing that we focus on in the academy is how do we laser in on what we're specifically looking for, then putting that through our database to receive what we're specifically wanting to receive back. And what I love about that and what's brilliant about it is the simple word called awareness, and really understanding, now you're aware. Now you've got that reticular activator up, and now you're understanding, like, you're seeing opportunities as a multiplier loan officer in the 6 lane highway academy that you just didn't see before. Or I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Have you always seen it and then you just didn't know how to implement it, or have you not seen it?
I've been aware of it and I could see it. What was hard for
Okay.
me to understand was how to track it. So like I had a business coach, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, and he was like, Brian, you have to refer people more than they refer you. I'm like, but if I have the majority of my referrals come from realtors, I'm not going to be able to refer back to them. And he was like, I don't care how you do it. You just have to generate more referrals back to them. I'm like, I don't see how I can do that. And then again, back to the 6-lane highway, it's like, well, okay, here's 6 opportunities per client.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, now I can see the strategy. Now, how do I manage the process and how do I implement the process, which is where I'm at now.
Yeah. And I think great segment. You know, you and I are gelling really well together. I love that. All right. Phone time again. Grab your phone, scan the QR code. Zoe, can you drop that in the chat also in case everybody has any QR code challenges? So 24/7 Mindset is a coaching platform. 24/7 Mindset has a 6-lane highway academy. And what's super cool about the academy, we meet every single Thursday for 90 minutes from 2 to 3:30 p.m. every single Thursday. So you get me coaching for 90 minutes a week for what is that, 360 minutes a month for a whopping $297 a month. So super affordable. If you look at the math for Brian, his ROI has his ROI was like, what was the math on your ROI, Brian? It was like 300 0.
Yeah, it was positive. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, 100%. So kudos to you. The man, the myth, the legend has joined us. Welcome, Mr. Savage, to your own show.
Yeah, hey, it's not my show, man. It's your show today. Thank you for rocking out the first 45 minutes. Good to be here.
You have to re-listen to this recording. So Brian takes MortgageCoach and he's meeting with financial advisors, going through the TCAs, and then also meeting with wealth advisors. And he's just been absolutely crushing it using MortgageCoach for those meetings. And it's just super cool to hear.
Yeah, man, love. I mean, I'm a massive fan of MortgageCoach. So I can't tell you how many millions of dollars I've made because of MortgageCoach in the last 20 years.
Well, I love hearing that. I love hearing that. And everyone who's been tuning into this, let's use those little reactions at the bottom. Let us know what you've thought of the first 45 minutes. Give us a little reaction with how has this been. There we go. We love the hearts. Also, if you had one thing that was a big takeaway or a quote, put that in chat. Also, if you have any questions, I don't know if any questions have come in from folks, but have people been asking any questions? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there's been a few questions in there that we can definitely jump into. One thing I did want Brian to kind of dig into was, and I wanted to make sure that you heard it, Dave, is when he's meeting with a financial advisor. We teach in the 6-lane highway academy about what tools you have. And most loan officers look, well, I don't have tools. Well, how do you present options to the client? And I use MortgageCoach. Well, hey, guess what? You've got a tool. And what's super cool about it is when we teach in the academy how to sit down with a financial advisor, you're going through and you're showing them, hey, here's total cost analysis. We've got a mutual client, the Smiths. And when we sat down with the Smiths, here are the 3 different options that I presented. Here's the one that they chose. And does this meet or exceed your short-term goals or long-term goals as the financial advisor? So you're taking the financial advisor's opinion on it. And Brian, as you had those meetings and you started showing financial advisors MortgageCoach and using that as a tool, how'd that go?
They love it. I mean, absolutely love it. So one of the questions that popped up that I saw said, what do you share with an investment advisor on a TCA? So what works really well on, and I'll just share that $1.5 million deal. The client wanted to buy a condo for $500,000 to $700,000, and with his income and the tax bracket and what he paid in income taxes federally, it made no sense to do it. So I prepared a TCA to show him what it would look like if he bought a 2, 3, or 4 unit, and then I shared with him a second TCA that showed him if we did a 3-2-1, a 2-1, or a 1-year temporary seller paid buy down versus just paying, the straight interest rate of whatever we could provide at that point in time. And I walked the client through that, absolutely loved it. He was asking me at the end of the meeting, how much can he be approved for? Not, what's the rate? He's asking, can I get 2 million? Can I do 2.5 million with this loan program? In our market, it was about 1.6 is the max. When I met with the advisor and shared with him what I did with the client, he immediately referred he referred me to a multifamily investor in Ohio that wanted to know about financing for $1 million project that he's doing a rehab on out there. And he is literally syndicating multifamily deals right now. So it was a massive introduction there. He made another introduction 3 days later to a dentist that wants to start investing in multifamily, but doesn't know where to start. So he's got cash flow, he's got assets, he just doesn't know where to go. So now all of a sudden I'm handed this opportunity as well. And again, well, this came from that fourth advisor. So I just keep leveraging off of that one connection, and it's awesome. But we really click, like we're on the same page. Our values are the same.
Could you show, I don't know, can you pull up a total cost analysis? We've had a couple of people ask,
Yeah.
that, and while you're getting ready to pull that up and show it, I when I founded MortgageCoach, I worked, I founded MortgageCoach as a tool and a weapon to win with CPAs and financial planners. And so my answer to the question of people asking, it's all about telling stories and teaching strategies. And
Yeah.
I would go into every CPA financial planner meeting where I had stories, and every single total cost analysis you have is a story. And some of those total cost analysis in MortgageCoach are incredible stories where it's just like, wow. And some of them are like day to day, it's how I helped a family make a very average decision. So just start thinking about all the different stories you have. And then I always had like 3 to 5 go-to stories. Like this is the story I'm going to start with. So it's important to not just have one, like every single time I meet with a financial planner, I start with this story and strategy, because different CPAs and financial planners have different client profiles. But have 3 stories and strategies, and then get great at just going into that. So Brian, are you ready to share one? And why don't you kind of share the story and then teach the strategy real quick?
Totally. So like I said, I got introduced to the client from a financial advisor, and the client wanted to buy a $500,000 to $700,000 condo. And after looking at what his goals were, I said, well, if you want to own more real estate, buying a condo or even a single family home isn't going to give you a whole lot more other than, ownership. You're going to build equity, but it's not going to give you tax benefits. So we talked further about that, and he was open to multifamily. And here in Chicago, multifamily is very, very prevalent. So I shared with him, hey, look, if you bought a 2, 3, or 4 unit, look what could happen. And long story short, he wanted to focus on a 4 unit. And in the areas that he wanted to live within and invest in, there was probably 1.2, maybe 1.1 million, all the way up to a $2.3 million price range. And doing a conventional loan with 5% down, owner occupied on a multifamily is what the strategy was, to minimize cash out of pocket. And he loved that. And so did his financial advisor. So did the accountant. So after he found a property and he was under contract, I'm going to share with you the TCA that I prepared for him, and he selected his option from to move forward with. So let me pull this up.
Cool. Yeah, we'll tell you when we see it, and we see it.
Cool. So he was currently paying $2,300 for rent. He's a first-time buyer, by the way, $1.5 million first-time buyer. And what's interesting is he said, well, I've been saving for, 5 years to put down 20% because I know I have to put 20% down. Obviously, we know that's a myth, right? And when it was all said and done, he selected to do the 5% down with the 2-1 temporary seller paid buy down. And what's interesting is his total cash out of pocket, he put down a $35,000 security deposit or earnest money deposit. So he had about $90,000 out of pocket to purchase this property. And when it's all said and done, reinvesting the cash flows from the property, he was going to be able to pay this property off in 18 years roughly, without the refinance that will occur in the next 2 or 3 years. So he looked at his net worth and was like, holy cow, like I'm going to like 2.3 million if I buy this building. This is amazing. In 15 years, this is better than any other investment that I currently have. So that was a huge piece for him. And we looked at the tax benefits up here, the $126,000 in tax benefits over 5 years. That was a huge driver for him. He looks at what his income tax is every year, and he's like, how do I get this down? he now sees a path to be able to buy a property like this once a year. And within the course of the next 4 or 5 years, he can effectively eliminate the majority of his income tax if he keeps his income where it's at.
Yeah. And guys, that, when going after CPAs, financial planners, advisors, when they, see how you're showing the long-term benefits and the net worth accumulation, like that is just an absolute game changer. Like it just changes the conversation. Have you always found that to be
Oh
the
my
case?
gosh, absolutely. And it was funny. He's like, what if I put more money down? And I said, well, you really want to come up with another 70 grand so you can save $500 a month? And he's like, oh, absolutely not. Can I put less than 5% down? So like this tool is so lights out. Like it's awesome, Dave. Like I'm telling you, it's awesome.
So when you sat down and you took this in front of, so it's, and we talked about how to go from an addition loan officer, right? You doing this loan, you getting this commissions in addition. So in the 6-lane highway, you learn how to create and become a multiplier loan officer. So when you went down, sat down with the financial advisor and showed him this for the first time, how did the listeners want to understand, how did that conversation go? What did you say? How did you present this to the financial advisor, and how did the conversation go?
So let me back up one step before that. So one thing that I do that's different than most people, at least that I'm aware of, is I meet with the client 2 times. I literally meet them face to face. So I want the rapport, I want the relationship with that person. At my initial discovery meeting with the client, I review this type of a TCA with them, and then I'm literally interviewing them, asking them who is their insurance advisor, who is their attorney, who is their realtor, who is everybody that they know that I need to have to facilitate this transaction to get to the closing. And this client literally just had the financial advisor. So after the initial meeting, I called the financial advisor and asked if he'd be okay with me making introductions. He said, absolutely. So I was able to refer the client to the realtor, the insurance agent, an attorney, the home inspector, a contractor who's now doing a $38,000 rehab of one of the other units in the building, as well as my CPA. So there were 6 referrals from that initial
6.
meeting.
That's pretty good multiplication, Dave, don't you think?
Yeah, I would say so. And then, by the way, guys, I'm seeing a lot of you asking questions. Looks like someone wants to know how to, view Mortgage Coach or see Mortgage Coach. I just shared a link to our 10X page, trustengine.com/10X. If you don't have Mortgage Coach, there's a place to sign up for that. If you work for a company that has an enterprise partnership, just let your manager know that you want it. And then everything you need to know to get trained is all on that page. We even have live training every Wednesday, every Thursday. This strategy that he's going through right now is a pretty basic rip versus own analysis. I'd say advanced part of it is where he is showing how to, not only what the appreciation value is, but the investment value. But that's really easy to learn. Once you learn how to use that in Mortgage Coach, it's super easy. We only have 5 minutes, or I would do a little 2-minute training on that. But I want to make sure, Wally, anything you want to make sure gets covered before we run out of time here, I'm going to hand back to you.
No, Brian, once you hop out of the sharing there for us, please.
Yeah.
I just, the biggest thing I want to understand is this. I want everyone to understand is mindset. And this isn't about me. This is about Brian and him being brave enough to believe in himself, him learning a system and him implementing the system. So since we've only got a couple minutes left, Brian, like imagine like if you're listening to this Mortgage Coach show and you're a loan officer out there that you're on the fence about either becoming, and how do you become addition loan officer to multiplier loan officer? What do you say to reach out to your past clients, your database, the 6-lane highway? Like, how did you how'd you put the right foot in front of the left foot? Like, talk to us about the mindset and obviously what your journey's been like with the 6-lane highway.
So, I mean, it's like anything else. We know what to do. It's just a matter of what do I say usually is why I don't do something like sales activity wise. So when you were like, just call and ask how you can help, call and ask for their help. Who do you know that I can meet that like I need to have that great financial advisor, insurance agent, or one of the other wealth partners. That was really all I needed to like spark the idea of like, oh, I don't need to call about mortgage stuff. I don't need to call realtors for a referral. I'm going to call anybody that I actually enjoy talking to and ask for their help to make introductions to me. It wasn't a cold call. It wasn't talking to people that I hesitated picking the phone up and making the dial to. It was people that I actually enjoyed like spending time with. And they are the ones that effectively put me in the spot that I'm in today, instead of having to do all of these cold activities. Now, those work. I will bang on the phones and I will cold call people, but it's not necessary with a strategy like this.
Yeah. And I think it's, if you learn how to actually add value to your past clients, you become more valuable. And once you understand it's a system, so it's a sequence of steps, and they need to be done in order to be able to add the right value, the results are the same for Bob, Sally, Jim, Jimbo, Amy, whoever. And no, man, I think it's been super exciting to watch you be successful. It's super exciting to watch. I can't wait to see December 31st, 2024. At the end of the year, how much money you've generated outside of realtor business. I mean, I think you're on track. What do you think you're on track to generate outside of realtor business? 300, 500?
Oh, I mean, if it continues the way that it is, I'm going to net somewhere between 9 and 1.2 million.
Yeah. And think about it as like, if he's now built the business where he's able to net an additional $31,000 a month from referrals from financial advisors, and he keeps doing this now with CPAs, keeps doing this now with family will attorneys, insurance. The biggest thing I want everybody to understand, you can really position yourself to thrive through 2024 instead of just trying to survive with these higher rates.
Mhm.
So that's all I got, Dave. I think Brian's spotlight.
Well, guys, really appreciate you. Anyone listening to this, please give us a little reaction as we wrap this up. Let Brian and Wally know what you thought of today's call. Wally, thanks for doing a Tuesday takeover and leading today's 10X. Brian, thank you for being, just a leader in your local market and helping families make, more than mortgage decisions, helping families make more confident decisions that help them build wealth faster, help them achieve financial freedom faster. And anyone listening to this, you see Wally, and he's got mindset above his head, because it really is just all about your mindset. And I hope that this call helped take you from I'm a loan officer to I'm a mortgage coach. And it's not about doing pre-approvals and quoting rates and fees. It's about helping families achieve the real American dream. And when you do that, I mean, not only are you going to win with financial planners and CPAs and all types of advisors, but you're going to win with realtors. And with the massive NAR changes that are coming down the pike, what you learn today will help you be a better partner to all your real estate agents. So if you have not already, make sure you subscribe to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. If you are not a mortgage coach, get signed up. We shared a link, trustengine.com/10X. If you aren't trained and you don't know how to do all the things that were shared today, there's self-serve training on that page. There's interviews on that page. And then towards the bottom of it, you can sign up for live training. Wally, any closing thoughts before we wrap it?
No, there's been a ton of questions there. And Zoe, dropped that link again for Scott for answer the questions. So I'll drop a link in the chat if everybody has it. There's a lot of questions I'm seeing about either the Academy or the TCAs. And if we want to schedule a call, just schedule a call with me. But the biggest thing is thank you, Dave, for building Mortgage Coach. Without Mortgage Coach, I could have never done my first annual mortgage review with you back in 2019. Could have never built the client concierge system. Could never built the 6-lane highway. And like at the end of the day, we all have these tools. We've got to raise our awareness and understand how to use these tools effectively. So I appreciate you having Brian and I on.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you so much,
Make sure you follow Wally. He's shared links to his Facebook group. Everything Wally does is creating value, creating impact. And Brian, I'm looking forward to get to know you better, brother. Thank you for bringing all the value today.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate the opportunity to help.
All right. This is a wrap, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys.